here is our audience. And me.
I'm Nick Zito from Wyoming, Nebraska, and we're going to talk about AI and cows today. I've been AI and cows for about 3 years at home on our operation, and I'm really impressed with the overall quality of the calves. They always seem to outdo their contemporaries, and those cows are usually breeding at the first cycle, which means the calves are a little bit older, the cows are more fertile, whatnot. So AI calves have been a big boost in our program and overall production. Today we're going to talk about 4 areas of AI and cows. We're going to talk about why we AI cows. We're going to talk about pros of AI and cows, cons, and a quick demonstration of how to AI cows. First, we're going to give a little bit of history about AI and cows. According to Progressive Dairy, the first cow ever AI'd was a dairy cow in 1936 at Cornell University. Modern AI became more popular in 1940 in the dairy industry, and beef cattle didn't catch on, didn't start AIing cows until about 1950. Dairy cattle have been a strong driving factor in AIing cows, just because their cows they're always confined, they're always there, they're easy to get a hold of. So dairy's been AIing cows long before beef guys ever started. But in the last 30 years, AIing cows has become more popular in smaller programs, smaller beef programs especially, because of the convenience of it. You don't have to have a bull. Just the overall knowledge that people have about AI and how it works. More people know how it works, and just the people understand the added value you can achieve with AI in your cows. And that's what we're going to talk about now. Is we're going to talk about why we AI cows. One of my favorite reasons we AI cows is we get to use genetics from bulls that usually we couldn't get our hands on. We're using semen on bulls that cost $300,000, which we can't afford. A lot of people can't afford a bull like that. So we can buy a piece of semen on a bull that's worth $300,000, $500,000 for $25, $50, and we can afford that. We can afford to get a chance at that bull, but we can't actually own him physically. So you get a chance to use genetics that you wouldn't otherwise be able to use. The other thing is you get added value from those calves. What I mean by that is you can get into CAB programs, Certified Angus Beef programs. If you select Angus bulls, you can get into heifer replacement programs, selecting bulls along that line. If you want to, so you're catching premium on these calves that you're getting out of these AI bulls, along with, like I said, just their general their production is better than most of the herd bulls that we can afford. Tighter calving window. So some of us calve 60 days, 90 days, some of us calve 120 days. You start AIing your cows, you're going to eliminate that. You're going to AI those cows once in the beginning. You hit 60% of them, you turn out your bulls, you clean up the other 40%. You're probably calving 45, 60 days, hopefully tops. No one AIing cows usually calves out 90 days. So you're going to tighten that window of calving calves out, and so you're not going to have that big run of calves in the beginning and that little slow trickle effect all the way until you're done calving. You're going to get rid of those small calves at the bottom end. Those calves don't make you money. You don't want that trickling effect of all those little calves late in the calving season. So we're going to calve them all at once, 45, 60 days, be done. And you can reduce your bulls. So you have 100 head of cows. Usually you're going to need 4 to 5 bulls. Now you only need 2 bulls, which is great because bulls cost a lot of money, $35,000, $4,000 onward to buy a bull, and they eat all the time. So you use a bull for 2 months out of the year, then he sits around and eats for the rest of the year. And he takes up a pen, he's in the way, he's there, he doesn't do anything except for those 2 months where you actually need him. So if you can get rid of 2 bulls, you can reduce your bull numbers, save you some money along those lines. And probably by far my favorite aspect of AI cows is the planned matings. So you have some cows that really excel in some areas, and then just really don't in some other areas. And you have another cow that's the complete opposite. This cow gains, all her calves gain really well. Always at the top end, always the biggest calves. Then you got this other cow, she doesn't, so her calves are always kind of at the bottom end. They're always in the middle, they don't ever quite do as good. So you can breed a bull specifically to this cow to make her catch up with everybody else, and you can breed a cow to maintain on this end. You don't want to bring her down, but like I said, you can pick out bulls for specific cows and their specific needs, and to bring that cow in and make that calf what you want. Before you're buying a bull to accommodate most of the herd, most of your cows. When you're AIing, you can accommodate every single cow and all her needs, and I feel like that's a great thing, and it just helps the overall quality of your calf crop. Some cons. There are some cons of AIing cows, and I just talked about all the premium and the benefits of added value and whatnot, but there is cost in it. You have to buy semen, you have to buy equipment, and another thing is, if you're on a large operation, you got to run all those cows through the chute at least twice, sometimes 3-4 times, depending on how you're choosing to get those cows to respond to getting heat. So that is, and then also on a smaller program, you might require some more facility than you're used to, which can be an added expense to get those cows to be able to work them. And then of course manpower, so you're going to need people to get those cows worked. And so yeah, just overall facility, manpower, and it will add up with equipment and what's needed to get these cows bred. I'm going to give a quick rundown of some of the equipment we will need to AI cows. When you go to AI your cows, your semen will be stored in a big semen storage tank. It's about this tall, it's about as wide as a 5-gallon bucket, and the semen stored at negative 320 degrees. It did not make the trip. It's big, bulky, it's heavy, so it is not here. But this is the thermos we use to thaw the semen out from the minus 320. So you will pull the semen out, and you will flick the nitrogen off of it, and then put it in the 98-degree water to let it thaw. Let it sit in there for a minute, and then you'll get your AI plunger rod ready to go. And after your minute's gone, you will take the semen out, pull it out, you'll flip the water off of it, you'll insert it into the gun, and you'll snip the end off so you can plunge the semen into the cow. And then you'll come over and you will slip this plastic sheath over the AI rod, slide it all the way on. And this is just a protectant for the cow. That AI rod has a little bit of an edge to it. This plastic sheath is very, very round. It's kind of soft, so that's not going to do her any harm. After you get your AI rod, your semen deposited, your semen straw cut, your sheath put on, then you want to quickly put it back into your pocket, into your belt line, whatever. We want to keep that on your body, because your body temperature is the same temperature of the thawer. So as long as you keep it close to you, you have 15 minutes to do whatever and get ready to breed the cow. So yeah, 1 minute to 15 minutes, and then 1 minute to 15 minutes until the semen needs to be in the cow, deposited where it needs to be. So this is our fake cow, and this, you always use your non-dominant hand to insert into the rectum, because you want your dominant hand using your AI rod. So you'll go in with your left hand and you'll reach for the cervix. The cervix is the only structure you'll be able to really identify in a cow's reproductive tract. The rest of it is muscly tissue, soft. The cervix hard, it's cartilage, so you'll be able to reach in there and feel something hard. So when I go in, I am with my left hand, I grab the tail with my right hand, quickly insert in the cow, go in, find the cervix. Okay, found the cervix, it's hard. And then the biggest stopping factor that will prevent you from AIing your cows successfully is the fornix. It is wrapped around the cervix, and it goes along the sides. And if you go along the side of the cervix and the fornix, you will not deposit in your uterus. You will not ever conceive. You will not have any pregnancies, and you're just wasting time, effort, and money at that point. So, and the cervix kind of has this shape to it, as this water bottle. So it's, like I said, I will take my left hand and we will close off this fornix, so your AR rod doesn't have a chance to go around it, a chance to go back behind where it's not going to hit the uterus. So if you close off the fornix, then the only opening is the center of the cervix, and the cervix can be as big as this water bottle and bigger, and it's very much smaller on some virgin heifers. And sometimes on those virgin heifers, the cervix opening is just as big as this AI rod, so it's very small. But when you go in on these cows, like I said, You'll insert at an upward angle to keep out of the bladder, and you will stretch out her reproductive tract so there's no folds or anything that you'll get stuck in. And then you'll close off around the cervix, closing off the fornix, and then that only leaves the cervix opening as a passageway for the AI rod. And then as you get started, there will be multiple cartilage rings inside this cervix. So you will use your left hand to maneuver the rod through the cervix, and then all of a sudden it will just plunk through and fall. Basically, it'll lose all resistance and fall through on the other side. And then you'll backpedal and use your left hand to feel the tip of the AI rod. And as soon as you can just barely feel the AI rod through the cervix, that's where you need to be. That's where you need to deposit the semen on the cow. So I get through the cervix, I slowly deposit it. I usually deposit about half, and then go through and feel the rod, make sure I'm still in the right spot. And then I finish off all the way. And then I get out of the cow the same way I got in. I'll pull my left hand out, and then I will pull the AI rod at a downward angle, preventing any touching of the bladder. That really agitates, and they do not like that. So in conclusion, we talked about how AI works, some history about it, the pros of it, and like I said, I'm really happy where AI is coming for these smaller programs. I think it is a great way to add value to your program. And yeah. You have to pan the...
And me.